Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So in this video, I'll be showing you a simple way to create a to-do list, and I'll show you how wonderful CSS is and how with the help of CSS you can create a to-do list. Okay, and I'll be also adding the JavaScript file here in. Okay, and it will be a fully functional to-do list wherein you can add your list and you can delete it if it's completed. Okay, so how it will be like, there will be a web page. Okay, there will be a web page, and inside that there would be a container. Okay, so in the container there would be a, a place, or let's say a block, wherein you have to enter your task. Okay, here it will be written add your task. Okay, and then next at the bottom, just below this, there would be a button which will be called as add. Okay, this is add button. So whenever you write your task, it will get added right over here in the form of list. Okay, and just beside the list there would be a delete button. Okay, suppose you add some gifts to the list and some uh, grocery to the list, and then you want to delete it because it's done from your to-do list, right? You have already purchased it. So with the help of the delete button, you can just remove the list which you have added with the help of the add button. Okay, so in short, this whole programming would revolve around the to-do list, which will have, first of all, the HTML, which for which we have to create a container, and then this block wherein it has a placeholder which will, where it will be written like add a new you know task, and then a add button, and then underneath the add button the list will be there, which is an unordered list. The list will be displayed, and by the side of it delete button will also be there. Okay, so let's get started with it. First of all, with the HTML code. Okay, so let's start with the doc type. And I'll use the HTML language over here, which would be English. And then after that, since I wanted to view it in all the devices, okay, so I'll be using the meta cat set and meta name, with the help of which it will be easy for me to view it in a laptop, desktop, tablet, phones, iPhones, any other devices. Okay, so it will adjust the width according to it. So for that, we will just use the head tag, and inside the head tag we will use first of all the meta character set. Okay, and then the meta name. Okay, wherein we will be using the viewport first of all, and then after that you need to specify the width for the content. Okay, so I'll just write width equal to device width. Okay, and the initial scale would be 1.0. That's the default one. Fine, this is done. Now next what we have to do, since we have to create a CSS file, so for that I'll be using the link rel in order to refer the href file over here, that is the CSS file. So inside the rel you can write this. I'm using for style sheet. Okay, and the href, so I can write as style CSS. Okay, that's the if you can see over here, this is the file name for CSS which I have created. Okay, so styles.css. Fine, next what we have to do, I'll just give a title just for a reference, like what we are doing right here. So we are creating simple to-do list. Okay, and then close the title, and after that you have to close off the header. Okay, next we have to get inside the body, and then we have to start off with creating the container first of all, and then inside that you have to write a heading that yes, this particular container is for a simple to-do list. And after that we have to create the placeholder wherein you will enter your task. Okay, So there also you have to like mention the placeholder, that like add a new task, and then the button ID as well. So let's start first of all with the div class container. Okay, so div class would be container. Okay, next the h1. So h1 over here, as I said, it will be a simple to do list. Okay, and then inside it we have to specify the input type. Okay, so here in the input type would be form of a text. Okay, and here instead of name there would be an ID wherein you have to take the input, right? So it can be like task. Okay, and then the placeholder. So placeholder here, what we have to write inside the box, we can write like add a new task. Okay, so this will come inside a box wherein you have to add your task in order to add it to your to-do list. Okay, now this is done. Now next what is left, we have to create a button which is named as add. Okay, so for that just write button and then ID. Okay, and here the ID name would be add task. Okay, and then inside that button name can be written like add, and then you need to close off the button. Now this is done. Okay, now next what is left, we have to create the list also. So that's an unordered list. So for that, let's say the element over there, the ID of the HTML element is task list. Okay, so we can write it as task list. Okay, and then let's close this off as well. Okay, now this is done, the whole HTML part is done. So let's close off everything. HTML. Okay, one more thing which we can write over here, if you want to like we want to include our script over here, the JavaScript. So for that you can write script. Okay, and then instead of type you can write source, like from where you have to pick up your JavaScript. So script.js, that would be my JavaScript. Okay, and it should be inside quotes. Okay, fine. Now this is done, so we can just save this off. Now move on to the CSS. Okay, so CSS, for that what we have to do, first of all we have to work on the body, like what should be the font family, the color, the background color, basically the text alignment and the margin, that we have to specify. Then what are the HTML elements which we have to style? The first one is the container. Okay, so a dot container will come on. Then after that there is an heading, so we have to style it. H1 we have to style it. Okay, after that there is input type, so this is another element which we have to use the CSS. Okay, after the input type there is a button which CSS is required. UL, for this also CSS is required. And after that there is, you have to add on the delete button as well, like whenever you add a task you have to delete it if it's completed, right? So for that also delete button, complete button, that is required. Okay, so let's go on to the CSS and let's create it. So for that, first of all we'll start with the body. Okay, and inside the body, as I said, you can mention the font family, the background color, text alignment and everything. So here I'll just mention as Arial. Okay, and the property value of the font as sans serif. Okay, and then the background color, so it as normal default background. Okay, then the text alignment, that means I want my container which I'm creating, that should be in the center, and everything, the text should be in center. Margin, it's up to you. You can, you cannot give. I'll give it as default. Okay. Next, we have to go on for the container. Okay. Okay. So inside the container, what we have to do, we have to make sure that what is the width of the container, what is the padding, the margin, background color. If you want to give any shadow inside the box, the container, you can give it the radius, everything you have to decide. Okay. So accordingly, you have to do the CSS. So here, I'll do the styling wherein I take the max width, I'll take the margin as automatic, and then I'll use the padding, that is 20px. Okay, and background color, I'll also take it. So it's up to you, it's your choice, like what you have to take according to your requirement. You can change it over here. Okay, and then I'll take a box shadow. So I want the shadow inside the container itself. So for that, what we have to do, 0, 2px, and then 4px, 4 pixel, and RGB. Okay, and the property value. So here, this would be 0.1. Okay, so now this is done. And the last part, we have to also make sure we provide border radius. Okay, so border radius, we can keep it a small one. I don't want a big one, so we can keep it as 5px. Okay, now container is done. Next comes up h1. Okay, the heading which we have written, that needs to be styled, right? So we can just mention the font size of that, like what should be the heading font size. So here, let's say I keep it as 24 pixel. Okay, and margin from the bottom, I mean like from the place where you will enter the task up to the heading, what should be the margin? Say here, margin bottom you can write. Okay, because it's your heading, so you can take it as 20px. Okay, now h1 is done. Now next, what is left out? Next is input type, like what the user will input inside the task, right? So for that, the type over here is textual format. Okay, so we can write text over here, and then inside that we can mention the width of the whole box. Okay, so here, let's say I take it as 80 to 70%, you can take it. Okay, and then the padding, so padding as 10px. Okay, after the padding, so it's basically for the input which the user will be giving in the form of a task, right? So for that, a border would be required, and what would be the radius of the border, that is also required, right? So I can write it as 1px and solid, and it should be a black border. So I can write this, and here border radius I can mention, let's say 5 pixel. Okay, you can increase the size if you want a thicker border. Fine. Now next, what is left? Next is left out is button. Okay, we have to work on the button, the styling of the button. So for that, the padding, background color, there should be a cursor which should have a pointer which should point to the button. Those all things you need to add. Okay, so padding we can add 10px and 20px because it's a button. Okay, and then the background color. So background color we can add as, suppose I want to make it green, so I'll add as 4CA. Okay, that's for a green background color. And then color you can add. Okay, and then for this, I don't think there should be any border required. And then the border radius, you can keep it as 5px. And at last, there should be a cursor, as I said, a pointer. Okay, so cursor, and it should be in a form of a pointer, right? So cursor, So next we have to create the complete and delete button. Okay, so for that, like we can use the CSS, wherein for li, that is the list, the display should be in the form of a flex, alignment should be center, which I have given, and then inside dot completed, that means you have your task. If it is completed, then the delete button will come into the action, right? So for delete button, background color, padding, everything has been specified by me, and then dot completed will have the decoration of the text and the color. So herein I have keeping the deleted button in the form of a red color, and the text should be normal, like it's unordered list. Okay, so it will come on the side of just beside the add button. Okay, so now all these things are done, like the CSS is done, and so we can save it, and the HTML also is done. Now the next comes up, like we have included the JavaScript over here. Okay, so I've created the JavaScript here, the file. So what happens in the JavaScript, I'll explain you. First is there are three kind of elements which we will be working, because HTML has three elements. That is, first one is we have to take the task input. Okay, next is the task list, and then the button, that means the add task. So these are the three elements in which the JavaScript should be created, right? So for that we have to first add an event listener, that is document.add event listener. Okay, that will help the container to get activated, and then after that we have to use the const, that is task input. Okay, so from where can we get the element? We can get the element by the task input name, which is there in the HTML here, right here. Okay, so make sure this and this remains the same. I mean, like the spelling and everything, like I have used a capital letter, so that should be the same. Similarly, for add task button, we have to get the element by add task, and then the task list, which are all the elements which is there inside the HTML which we have written, these three. Okay, next what we have to do, first of all, let's add a task. So for that we have to create a task button and then an event listener to it. That means, suppose here is your block wherein you will enter your task, and then just underneath it there is an add button. So this particular add button, when it is clicked, it should listen that whatever task which is added to it, it comes right under here in the form of a list. So for that we are adding a event listener. Okay, and the listener should be in a form of a click, like whenever this add button is clicked, it should work. Okay, so how it should work? So it should work inside a function wherein it says the const task text is equal to task input dot value. Okay, that means whatever value you are putting inside this particular block and then pressing the end or clicking the add button, that particular value should be equal to the list which you are actually providing. Okay, so here we have to use the if condition for that. So if task test, okay, so the task item should create a list, a form of a list. Okay, and then it should be like there should be a task text and then a delete button beside it. So how it will look like? So it will be, there will be a block in the output, add button. Okay, and here suppose I put added a task, let's say the name is C++, so that's my task value. Okay, and just beside this there will be a delete button, so that once in your to-do list the task is completed, you can just click on this to delete button, and this particular task will be deleted from your the whole web page or the output. Okay, so similarly for this particular delete button we have to create an event listener. So that's the event listener right for here. Okay, so it's on click event listener. Whenever you click it, you have to write the JavaScript like this. Okay, and then you have to also write the handle key, like how the keys are handled. Okay, so for that the JavaScript would be task.input and then the event listener key up. Okay, and if the key is enter, like what does this mean actually? So this means like if this particular add key, if I press enter or if I click it, and if I add some task over here like C++, it will take it in the form of a list right over here, and then along with it a delete button will come up. Okay, Fine. So now let's save everything and then try to check off how it's actually working. Okay, so just created the JavaScript in order to save the time so that this video doesn't go so long. Okay, so you can make the changes accordingly, and you can comment down in the comment section if you miss out any of the points in the JavaScript. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Now it's the time to see the output. Okay, let's go and check the output. So I'll just open up this off, and yes, this is the output. This is how it looks like. Okay, so here it says this particular part is the H1 for us. That is the simple to-do list H1 which we have created inside our HTML code. Okay, this is the place. Here add new task is the placeholder. This one is the placeholder, and this whole block, this particular block, is the container. Okay, whatever CSS we have given to this particular, this is container. Okay, and this is the button. So whenever we add a task right over here and click on the add button, the list will appear right here, and just beside it there will be a delete button. Okay, so now let's see how it is working. Let's try to enter some task. So let's say I add programming. Okay, and then okay, so these are some of the tasks which are now added to the list over here. If you see carefully, like how we created the CSS and JS, so for how it is coming, the list name is coming, and then just beside it the delete button is coming. Okay, so whenever now your task is completed, so like if you see, if I just click on it, it gets strike off. That means it is completed. Okay, so if you click anywhere, suppose my programming part is completed, I have learned programming for the day, I can just click outside, it gets striked off. Okay, now if you want to now if they are striked off and only grocery is left out, because I haven't done shopping for the grocery, I want to delete all these three. For that you can just click the delete button, it will get deleted from your to-do list. Okay, once you're done with the grocery, you can just strike it off and then delete. So that's it. That is how simple this to-do list will work. Okay, again I will show you with another example. Let's say I can write traveling. Okay, so these are some of the tasks for me today. Okay, so here again, how it is working, you just have to enter the task over here, then your JavaScript will get activated. So how, like it's an event listener, so when you click on it, the task will be added right over here. Okay, so this is the list form. Okay, so traveling, and then after that delete. So whenever you click on it, it will get deleted. I mean, like if you want to complete, if you have completed the task, you can click outside and you can strike it off like you do it in your cell phones, which you have a list, note list, right? So if you click on it, it gets striked off, right? And if you want to delete it, you can click on the delete button. Similarly with the rest you can do. Okay, that's how this particular to-do list is acting. Okay, so that's it for this particular video, guys. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit the like button and share this video as much as you can, and also hit the bell icon so that you get the latest updates regarding coding videos which we upload regularly. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please comment down in the comment section if you have any query or any project which you are stuck in. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you so much once again, and don't forget to subscribe.